Welcome to ECE431. You've probably noticed by now that this class is not going to be taught in a conventional manner. We're going to use something called a flipped classroom approach or an inverted paradigm. Rather than listen to me lecture during class and then going home and working on homework, we're going to flip that. You'll watch your lectures at home before class, and then when you come to class, we're going to work on problems together. Why do this? Well, there's abundant research in the field of education that shows this kind of approach leads to better outcomes in terms of learning. It's sometimes terms like active learning, where you're actively doing something in class. There's coaching when you're trying to solve problems, where I'm the coach. And you'll also be able to learn from your peers as well as help your peers learn, those that you're interacting with at your tables here in the room. The bottom line is that I want to see everyone master the material at an A performance level. Some of you may find this approach more work and consequently not enjoy it as much as a regular class, but I'm really here to teach you, not to give you a fun experience. And so we're going to do our best job at that. The other thing is that it works. I tried this for the first time last fall in 2012 in ECE431, and I've compared the performance in the class to the 3 previous offerings where I did the conventional format of lecturing followed by homework outside of class. This is a plot of the median and mean scores on the final exam for the years 2008, 2009, and 2010. So these here are conventional, and in 2012 is the flipped version. You can see there was a significant increase in both the mean and the median final exam score. And when you look at the histograms, you get a better picture of what happened. So I've shown here the number of students obtaining particular ranges of final exam scores. So this here represents 6 students having attained final exam scores between 65 and 70. And I've pooled all 3 years together in producing this particular graph for 2008 through 2010. What you observe is that most of the students that took the class in 2012, in fact 90% of them, scored above 70 on the final exam. There was a large cluster of students in this region here. This is 10% of the class scored below 70 in last year, whereas in previous years there was about 45% of the class that scored below 70. Now you could say that last year's class was exceptionally high-performing students. I don't think that's true. Pick 30 seniors here at UW and you're not likely to get a group exclusively of all high-performing students. You could also say that the final exam maybe last year was easier, but I don't think that was the case either. Based on my assessment, the final exam last year was actually more difficult. And indeed, there were no scores between 95 and 100 last year, and that was not at all the case in previous years. The high score was lower for the 2012 exam. Anyway, I can't prove to you that this is exclusively due to the flipped classroom arrangement or that it's going to repeat this year, but it was very convincing to me, and I'm excited about teaching in this way. And my goal is to bring all of you people, everyone, up into this range here. I don't have a problem giving everyone an A if everyone performs at an A level. In fact, that would make my day to do that. So what's the course going to look like? Well, everything is run through Moodle. You may have visited the course website already, and if not, you will shortly. Before you come to class, there'll be a list of lectures that you are supposed to watch. Then there'll be a short quiz associated with each of those lectures, and you can take those quizzes before you come to class. I will probably close the quiz when class starts so that they're not accessible anymore. And those will count for a small portion of your grade, as well as actually attending class. Then when you come here, you'll work on exercises with your peers and with my input. Before you leave the class, you'll turn those exercises that you worked on in. Those exercises will naturally lead into the homework assignments, which will be given approximately weekly. And there'll also be a midterm exam and a final exam. Now, this kind of approach is definitely different, and there are pros and cons relative to what you're used to. I think the most important factor for me is that for the majority of students, this results in improved learning outcomes. You're just going to master the material better. That's based on my own experience and what the literature and education research says. On the downside, you're going to find that this course demands regular attention. You can't let it slide for a week or two, because each day you're going to be coming to class and have to work on new exercises, and so you need to have watched the videos before you come to class. Now, you're going to get immediate feedback when you're working on problems, because you can ask your peers at the table, or actually anyone in the room, and I'll be here as well to answer questions. So you're going to get immediate feedback on how do I work this problem or how do I address this, but you're not going to get immediate feedback on questions you might have during lecture. I personally think that your progress will be faster by giving you immediate feedback on the problems. If you have questions on the lecture, I'm happy to answer them. You can email me when you have the question. I don't care if it's 2 a.m. when you send the email. I probably won't look at it then or respond, but you can email me or you can ask me during class for any questions you have on lecture, or of course during my other times when I'm available for office hours. You're going to be active in class learning, and that means you shouldn't plan to come here and catch up on the previous night's sleep. The environment is just not suited for that. There's a high level of interaction in this class format. You'll get a lot of interaction with me and with your peers. In fact, my experience has been that 90% of the students never see me outside of lecture or interact with me in a conventional class. We're here, I'm going to get to know all of you fairly well. We're still working on fine-tuning this approach. It was very successful as an initial offering last fall, but there are some things that we need to balance better concerning workload in class versus problems, and bringing in quizzes this fall. So I ask your patience with these fine-tunings, and I also ask you to give me plenty of feedback. I want to hear what's working. I want to hear what's not working. I welcome your input. One of the things about having lectures on video is that you control the pace. So if something was confusing and you want to go back over it, hit the stop button and replay that section. Or if you get interrupted, you can always come back to finish the lecture later. So that's totally under your control. I encourage you to take advantage of that. So let's have a great semester. I look forward to working with you and getting to know you, and trust that you're going to learn a lot in this class.